Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel. Today, we are taking a look at the new Big Bud DLC. Everyone's super excited about this. I wasn't, but now that I actually get into the game and start playing, I was, but I wasn't, and I'll tell you why. Everybody likes big machines. Obviously, the bigger they are, the cooler they are, but there's a point where it's just kind of silly. However, I really think that this DLC brings quite a lot to the game, and it's not just the tractor itself that it brings. Well, there's two tractors, but it brings a lot of equipment to the game too that people have been asking for, and I'll explain. What we're looking at here is Big Bud, and I've also got some other big tractors lined up, and this is why I'm excited about the pack. First of all, we have the Big Bud 450. It's a 500 horsepower tractor. This was their production tractor. They did make a couple different models. Big Bud tractors were, I'm trying to think of the name of the company. Hold on here. Let me see if I can find it. I'll be right back. There you go. Williams. I knew. That's what I was, should know that off the top of my head. So Williams made tractors from 1968 until 1992. And the Big Bud was their, kind of idea. They were trying to design a tractor that would work well in the west of the United States, like the Midwest and West, and then also would probably do well in Canada, in the wheat fields of Canada that are kind of above the wheat fields of America, if you will, kind of the Canadian West. So it was a very niche market. These tractors were designed specifically for huge fields. And so this would be a tractor that you would buy if you had a giant farm or maybe a conglomerate farm, and that is exactly what they did. Now, unfortunately, the company was not super successful. They lasted about 25 years and were not able to continue going. After 1992, they had to shut down. So, but this is the kind of unit that you would see for the most part when you see Big Buds. This is what we're dealing with, like 500-600 horsepower tractors. Let's go ahead and hop in this guy and take a look around. Once again, it's a great looking model. We'll fire it up. You can hear that nice motor sound, and it's got Turbo 2 on it. Let's go through the light setup. We have headlights, reverse lights, or rear lights, and then bright lights. Signals, and this is cool how the signals are up on top. I like that. No beacons. They didn't do beacons back then. Back in the day. Interestingly, there is no rear beacon, their signal. Probably because they were expecting you to have it hooked up to something. So that is the Big Bud 450. Let's go ahead and take a look inside. When I power it on, does anything come on? No. We have some modern controls. It looks like they've updated this one to have GPS. So as we poke around the cab here, you can see we have a digital speedometer readout. Our fuel is full. It's kind of a nice setup. Definitely 70s looking with that burled wood. Raising lowered. Here we have, oh, look, it even says Harve, Montana. That's where they are built. Or were built. Engine warning lights. This tractor's made for, and really, it was ahead of its time. When you think about this tractor, all these tractors that are surrounding it are 500 plus, maybe 500 to 600 horsepower tractors. These are all modern. This guy was really pretty far ahead of its time as far as power goes. And you can see here, pretty commanding view. You can see what your tools are doing out the back. The way they designed it, you can actually see both front and back fairly well. Because there's another tractor that claims to be the largest in the world, and that would be Big Roy. Big Roy was built by the Canadian company Versatile. And Big Roy was just recently refurbished. There's only one Big Roy tractor. Big Roy has some serious design flaws, though, and we'll talk about that possibly in a later video. But Big Roy was actually longer than Big Bud, so it does sometimes get distinguished as the largest tractor, though it was only a 600 horsepower tractor, and it was not as large as Big Bud. It just happened to be longer, the way that they designed it. So here you can see the iconic 16-valve 747, 1,100 horsepower. Now, when I did my research online, and I could be wrong, but from everything that I saw online, they actually did not have an 1,100 horsepower engine in this tractor. It was at the most 960. They started with a 760 horsepower engine They turbocharged it, brought it up to 860, and then supercharged it and brought it up to 960 horsepower. There is only one 16-valve 747. There are not a lot of these. There's one. So this is actually, to have three of them here is not how it was. You had one 16-valve 747. The tractor was built for a company in California. It then did work in Florida for another company for a while, and then eventually ended up back in Montana doing work on a farm, on the Williams farm. And now it is retired and in a museum. So, but this is the largest tractor in the world, definitely by horsepower. And you can just see here, okay, so now we're going to look at the Challenger here. The Challenger is the largest tractor in the game and is currently, as of 2017, the largest tractor available on the market. It's a 690 some odd horsepower tractor, and it has the largest and heaviest frame available of any tractor. And you can see here that the Big Bud really dwarfs this tractor. We're going to pull right up next to the three-wheel Big Bud, and you can just see size-wise, Big Bud is so much larger. So the 747 anyway. It's about the same size as the regular Big Bud, the 450 model. So anyway, that is a good size comparison there to give you an idea of how much larger the 16-valve Big Bud is, the 747 model. It's just huge. Though granted, the Challenger is huge too. This is just huger. We'll pop the lights on for you so we can get a light demonstration. Our turn signals are down at the bottom this time. I don't think this has turn signals on the back either. Nope. And then we also have rear lights. And then we have nothing. So lights on and off. There are no additional lights on this tractor, so we don't have a third stage. This thing is just huge. I can't even... I mean, how would you get it to the field like this? But oh, and you can see here there's a cam. If we go into our... and the same thing for Big Roy. Big Roy also had a cam setup. If we go into the cockpit here, similar cockpit to the 400 series. You have this monitor, and what they would do is you could actually see what your implements were doing using that camera there. Though you have a pretty good view out the back, but this way the driver could just keep his eyes forward. This thing's just a monster. Now, why so many wheels? Well, this is a heavy tractor. It's a good idea to distribute the weight. Otherwise, you can damage the soil with compaction. So you want to spread that weight out. Ta-da! So that brings us to the next section. So we've looked at the tractors. We'll go out and play with these towards at the end of the video here and have some fun messing around with our field that's across the street. But I just wanted you to see these first because these are kind of the star of the show. But what I think this DLC adds that's much better than just getting some cool big tractors is it really expands the functionality of the game, and this is why. So first off, we have what I think is probably the coolest implement in the game that we have been added is this scraper slash, what do you call these? It's a subsoiler. I'm going to unfold this thing. We'll pull up. And what a subsoiler does is, if we look at our map here, you're going to see that this field is not, if we go to our soil composition, this field has not been plowed, okay? And the Kuhn pack had the first one of these in-game. This is the second one to be added into the game. The Kuhn offered the first one. But what a subsoiler does is this allows us to both cultivate and plow in one pass. And that's dragging along the side of Bigger Bud. But this is a pretty high... It's hard to tell because the ground's already been cultivated, so we're getting a cultivation and a plow in one pass. And it might have been easier to fertilize first so we can kind of see what we're doing. But if we come back and look on the map, you might want to hire a worker if it's already cultivated. Usually you're coming into a field that's not cultivated. But when we get done, I just want to do one pass here so you guys can see what this does. It's basically a little bit of a time saver when you're plowing. First of all, it's a little bit easier to use than a plow. And secondly, it both plows and cultivates. Now, the one thing that a subsoiler can't do is a subsoiler is not able to create new fields in the game. So you can use it to plow, but you can't use it to create a new field. So if we go back to our map, we can look at the side here, and it didn't do anything. That's great. It should be coming clear. I'm going to do one more pass. You'll see it. What it is doing it. It's just I didn't make a big enough dent for you to see. So we're going to come back here and go about halfway up, and then you'll be able to see the jaggy line where I've plowed and where I haven't plowed. Since there's no fertilizer, usually it shows blue and red, and that makes it a little bit easier to see, but it's showing brown and red. All right, so we're going to stop here, and if you look at the map here, you can see, now you can see it's thicker here. You can see my tractor where I've been, and you can see the thin line, and then above it, and the thick line below it. So what we're doing is we're cultivating and we're plowing in one step, and that saves you some time. So that, I think, is probably, to me, the coolest tool that we get in this. It's a bigger subsoiler, basically. Now, in real life, you can plow, you can subsoil, and you can cultivate. And you have to be careful when plowing. In America, in the 1920s, we plowed between every crop, and it created what was called the Dust Bowl. Okay, basically, we pulled up so much dirt that we pulled all the moisture out of the soil. We kept, every year they would flip the dirt, and it allowed the soil to dry out. And then what happened was you had a Dust Bowl condition. All you had was dry soil with no moisture in it. So you have to be careful when you plow using this type of plow. This is called a moldboard. Well, I've changed this to a slatted plow, but you can have this both with mold boards or with these slats. This type of plow actually can be pretty damaging to the soil if you use it all the time. You're only supposed to do it like once every 3 or 4 seasons. So that's why you see in the game they kind of simulate that you have to plow once every 3 crops. Now in real life, obviously that's a year pattern. So every 3 or 4 years, you're going to use a moldboard plow. This is the giant plow that comes with the game. In order to hook it up to a 3-point tractor like this guy, you just hook it up. Big Bud actually needs this trailed lifter because, see, this is a 3-point harness, but Big Bud does not have a 3-point on the back. If you look back here on this tractor, we have a 3-point harness. So this guy can lift this plow without this adapter, but there's an adapter that they sell with it so that you can use it with Big Bud. But this is a ginormous plow. And if you look in the stats, it is the largest one that you can buy. Sorry, wrong button. I do that frequently. At $130,000, we have a 10.5 meter. Now, I'm using a 9 meter John Deere for most of my stuff, but this is a huge plow. 10.5 meters. Let's see, what do we got over here? Yeah, the Salford was the next biggest one at 6.2. So Big Bud has allowed us to do a mega huge plow. We have a couple different well, let's look at this next. This is an auger wagon. This is the largest auger wagon that we can have. This also came with it. You can get it both wheeled and tracked. This allows you to pull crop off the field without damaging the fields as much as using like a truck on the fields. So soil compaction, you've got to be real careful. We have a standard, I guess this would be kind of like a harrowing style cultivator. This is really designed, actually no, this has the full cultivation. This goes down into the dirt and rips it up. This prepares the dirt for planting. And then we have a couple different seeders, but I want to show you the other cultivator that we have too. We have another giant cultivator over here. This one's a wider one. Same deal, doesn't have the roller in the back, so it's a little more raw, I guess, but it essentially does the same thing as the other one. These both require 500 horsepower. I'm not sure why you would choose one over the other. Just maybe like what you want, you know, like how do you want to do it? This guy's probably a little bit easier to get around the map because it's thinner, and it's cheaper too. This one's 18.2. This one's 24. So the Flexicoil is much larger than the Bednar. Which one are you going to pick? That's up to you, but they both cultivate. And here we have the Cultiplow. That's the 8 meter. So our seed, well, here's another thing too. This is great. We have a 70,000 capacity, 50-ton manure spreader. This thing can hold a lot of manure. This way you don't have to keep going back and forth to the farm, but you will need a big tractor to run it. So here we have Big Bud, the 450, attached up to the front of this guy. And then we have some seeders, and we're going to go ahead and look and there's 3 different ones. We have a European kit here where the seed goes in the front. You can see it's attached here using all these cables. They're 2 separate pieces to the Terminator TH-18. This is the seed portion of it. This cultivates and then seeds. So you can see here we have the cultivation stage here. We don't have to cultivate first. We can just plow and then run this. This guy probably doesn't cultivate. I'm looking at this. It looks like it doesn't. We'll read the description, but this is another Great Plains cedar, and this thing is freaking huge. And then last but not least, we have the Seed Hawk. I would assume this guy does this cultivate. May not cultivate. Look at that. Let's take a look in the description at the three of these. And this is a Seed Hawk setup, so we have both the seed caddy and you have the seeder itself, the unit that actually puts the seed into the ground. So let's go ahead and take a look in the shop at those devices. This does a lot of stuff. This also, not only does it do the standard wheat, barley, corn, canola, it also adds in, it also adds in corn, sugar beets, and sunflowers. And it's 18.2 meters. So that's pretty freaking huge. Let's see. This one needs to have cultivation going on before it. So this does not cultivate as you seed. If we look at the Terminator, is lots more expensive at $300,000 for the kit. Jeepers Criminy, $310,000. This does also plant. This does not plant corn, sugar beets, or sunflowers, but it cultivates. So it says, additionally, this machine offers the possibility to seed directly, no previous cultivating or plowing necessary. So you can just go out there and plug this into it and go. And it has a... Now, interestingly, the Terminator, that's really weird. This cannot plant. So how would you... This holds all the different kinds of seeds, but it can't plant it. Interesting. So you could probably use might even be able to use the 84-foot toolbar. But see, this doesn't plant either. But this holds. That's really weird. So these caddies, or whatever you call them, like the service for the seeds, this is what holds the seeds, these carts. They can hold all the different seed types, but their seeders can't seed them. Strange. Okay, well, whatever. I mean, it's... All right, maybe you could run this, with the Great Plains or something. This one also cultivates. So the Seed Hawk setup cultivates beforehand. However, if you want to grow, and this one is 25 meters, it's also really expensive. We're looking at $500,000, right? It's 300, 400, 500. Yeah, just under $500,000 for this setup. 25 meters versus 18. So it's a much larger. Once again, this is 18 meters, the Great Plains. So... You got a couple options here for really large seeders, and that's pretty sweet stuff. So that pretty much covers what is in the kit. We'll play around a little bit here and run these, at least try like a quick test run. In fact, I might even just buy this field for poops and giggles, and we can play around with something so you can see the difference between cultivating, plowing, and all that stuff. But first we will plow. All right, so first up, we're going to try this ginormous plow. Somehow I turned the tractor back off. I don't know how I did that. Bless you, John. Oh my goodness, kid. Now as we go, this is going to swing out and probably hit that tractor. That's alright. Yeah, I'm going to have to move. We're going to have to move the caterpillar. It's in the way. Sorry, it's allergy season for those of you that are experiencing the same pollen destruction that my face is. I'm just like totally snorkeling all the time with these stupid allergies. So it's playtime. Let's go ahead and try out all of our new equipment. We already tried the subsoiler. And now we're going to run the big plow with Big Bud. And this thing's just a monster plow. I mean, it's a little hard to control because I have like 3 pivot points. But look at this. Look at that. That's like cultivating, baby, with a really big cultivator. I can't go out too far. Oops. Yeah, once again, it's a little hard to steer because it's got so many different linkages between here. This might be easier to use with a tractor that has a 3-point hitch, but I don't know that IRL, I think this plow is designed for Big Bud specifically. Though maybe not because it has the 3-point harness on it, so... Big Bud, eat your heart out, you giant monster, you. I need to fold it the other way, so let's see what happens. If I press that, No, no, it's doing it. Okay, cool. And then it flips it over, and then it'll unlimber. There we go. Whee! Whoops, I'm running through it unrealistically. So how do we line this up? Is this where it lines up? I think. Never done this before. Each plow is different. I'm kind of overlapping a little bit too much, but you can see here this is kind of... You almost would want to use Big Bud with 2 wheels and then get it so it doesn't overlap too much. No problems hitting full speed, though. 9 miles an hour is it. Now, we got a bit of a problem here. I've got all this equipment parked on the end of the field. Big Bud's dirtying up nice, though. I like how the wheels get all dirty. That's pretty cool. One of the things I like about this model, too, is that Big Bud's got that... just get out of my way. Big Bud has those... I guess who makes those? Is it Terex? It's like the giant wheels that you get on like one of those big... one of those giant... was it Komatsu? Who makes the big dump trucks? Anyway, we're just going to move this out of the way. So that's how the plow works, and it looks great, and a little bit unwieldy, but man, it gets it done fast. So let's go ahead and run some of the cultivators now and try those out. So we'll try this guy first, and then we'll just do a little bit with each one and see how it goes. But, you know, you're looking at a lot of money, so it's going to be a while before you can grind this stuff out in game. I know on my American Outback game that I'm playing with my daughter, it's going to be a while before we can afford this stuff. I mean, it's going to be, you know, probably several crops. Whoa! I went to unfold it, and it's like totally... Yeah, you can't really park stuff at the end of the fields here. So this is huge. Look at the size of this thing. And that fits 2 passes, really. But you can see here now you have a thing. Now these Challengers become a useful tractor because this is like the right size for this to rip. I'll have to come back, but cool. Professionally ripped by Arthur. Let's go ahead and grab the other one and see how that does. All right, this has a 24 meter reach, which is, I don't know, it's like, what is that, 75 feet? Now, interestingly, it is pulling it sideways. I don't think that's how it's supposed to be, but maybe it is. I thought it would pull it straight. But maybe that's how it's supposed to pull. Is that right? If it's a bug, they'll fix it, but... That doesn't look right to me. Maybe because part of it was plowed and part of it wasn't. It was like throwing it off. We'll do one more pass. This is not going to really look like anything because it's... Yeah. Yeah, now it's pulling it straight because we have even fields. Part of it's plowed, or it's all plowed. So pretty neat stuff. I am... This is going to be enjoyable. I think that this tractor with this equipment is going to add a lot to the farm, and this will help us get stuff done faster. I know it's starting to tilt a little bit, so that's just must be how it runs. Micah and I are going to be using these on Small Town USA also. So, but it really doesn't work for every map because it is such a huge tractor. It just dwarfs the quad track. Let's go ahead and spread these seeders out and kind of take a size comparison look. We're not going to be able to run them because they're empty, but at least you can see what they look like unfolded. Sorry. Yeah, I would say probably with the Seed Hawk, you'd have to at least use the Challenger or the Big Bud because these are, or maybe like the T9. Let's see, unfold this guy. Look at the size of this thing, man. And while that's unfolding, we'll go grab another one and pull it up. Sorry about the sniffles. Once again, allergy season. Can't be helped. Get this unfolding. So unfold more, or is that it? Okay, we have ridge markers. That's pretty cool. I mean, look at the size of this. And last but not least, we have our European setup. Yeah. For those of you that are in Europe and want the bigger seeders. Sorry, I know I'm a goofball. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I am a goofball.
So we're leaving in an hour and a half, I see.
Yeah, 3 o'clock. Yeah, it's got to be 3 because we have to be at Lorraine by 4. So there you go. There's a size comparison with the different seeders. I definitely would say that this tractor could pull either of these large seeders, including the Seed Hawk. So if you don't want to use the Big Bud on your farm, the Challenger will work. I would think the T9 probably would work too, but it's going to be a tough pull. I mean, if we look at the horsepower requirement on the seeder, what are they telling us? 640 horsepower. So you basically need the biggest of the big. This guy's 280, which is a lot easier. This is 450. So that Seed Hawk is the biggest one for sure. Our Tier 9 tractors can pull it. This guy could pull it barely. This guy should be able to pull it pretty easily. So, I guess final thoughts. Is this worth it? I mean, look at all this equipment. Look at all this. Is it worth $15? Heck yeah. You know, sometimes I look at these DLCs and I'm like, nah, you know, kind of worth it. It depends on what you like. Like the Kuhn DLC for me was like that. Now, I personally love the Kuhn DLC, and I use all of the equipment for it all the time, and I'm really glad I got it. But for somebody that's playing the game, what does the Kuhn thing add? Well, square bale wrapping. That's what it adds. But this adds so much more. This adds legitimacy to all of the large tractors in the game. So not only is it a pack of really cool giant tractors, but it also adds the equipment that you need to run any of these tractors that I've brought out. Any of these tractors now have purpose in the game. Before this pack, they really didn't. You could use them, but you didn't have to use them. But now that we have these available, and we have these giant seeding kits available, and we have these giant cultivators and giant plows and stuff, all of these tractors now become feasible. So the New Holland Tier 9, the Case, you know, the 620, the Challenger, the MT 900 series, all of these giant tractors become needed. In fact, I would say this equipment is too big. I tried pulling. Where did it go? Where's my case? Or not the case. Where's the track Challenger? There he is. I tried with this tractor. I tried pulling. This is the big 800 series with the full horsepower. I tried pulling that cultivator, and it was whipping me around like I weighed nothing. So this tractor is too small for that yellow cultivator. That's incredible to me. So once again, is it worth it? I say yes, absolutely. This is one of those DLCs that has so much stuff with it, and it adds a new level of playability for those really big fields. Now you can use the big tractors and have the huge equipment, and that is one of the things that people have complained about since Farm Sim 13. When 15 came out, people were complaining because they're like, they took away all the Tier 9 equipment. All the big equipment is gone. They don't have these big cultivators. What happened to the big seeders? And people were mad that you couldn't do that. And this is the first time since that, so almost 4 years, where we actually have in-game support for giant seeders and giant cultivators and giant plows. All this stuff is back in the game now, making these other tractors useful. So yes, I'd say resoundingly, this is probably the coolest DLC that the Farm Sim has released since I've been playing it for the last 5 years. I think this is probably the coolest, most game-changing DLC. So yeah, definitely worth it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to subscribe. Thumbs up always help. And if you really like the channel, you can also donate. A lot of these, actually, this Big Bud pack was donated to me by Ethan, and also Micah donated the Big Bud pack to my kids, so I didn't have to buy the copy that my kids are using or the copy that I'm using. So those are the kind of things that help. So if you want to donate to my channel, you can join my Twitch TV. I will put the link down at the bottom there for the donation page, and that helps the channel, helps me to buy these DLCs, helps me to buy new games so I can cover new content. But I hope you found this useful and you found it something that will allow you to get a real feel for what Big Bud is and what the DLC includes, because it's more than just the Big Bud tractors. And I think the Big Bud tractors are really cool, but I think what's even cooler is that we have all this really awesome equipment that is designed for these huge fields. And if you don't have American Outback yet, you need to get it, if you're, because this is what these tractors are made for. And that one's free. You don't have to pay for the map. So you get the map for free, and then you can play these tractors. And it is in the Mod Hub. You don't have to go to any special website. All you got to do is to go under mods, under maps, and you'll find the American Outback version 2. It might be under beta, but it's there. So anyway, have a great night, guys. Be sure to subscribe. I will see you on the channel, and enjoy tractoring with Big Bud. And we will see you guys on the farms of America.